Hello, YouTube learners, students, and friends. Once again, this is Dr. Satish Singhal, PhD, Professor of Computer Science, El Camino College, Torrance, California. This is my second video on operator overloading. In the first video, which you must watch before this one, I showed how to overload a binary plus operator for complex number class as a member function that had some problems in automatic type conversion. We are going to remove that problem by overloading binary plus operator for the complex number class as a friend function. And there are certain rules that apply to friend functions. We're going to discuss them very shortly. Let's talk about them first. And then I'm going to go to Xcode and modify my previous code to overload plus operator as a friend function. So friend functions have following characteristic. They have word friend as first word only in header file, not in the implementation file. And they cannot be made private or protected. No matter where you place them in the class definition, their access is always public. Okay, friend functions have access to private data member of the class, and the access privilege is same as given to member functions. Okay, and friend functions cannot have const and modifier. That's only allowed for the member functions. And since they are not member rather than their friend functions are not allowed scope resolution operator because they are friends and not members. This is just a syntactic detail, like this is syntactic detail. And one thing people fail to understand in computer science, that reason C++ has such complex syntax, has a lot of syntactic sugar, because its compiler does more than any other compiler on the planet. It compiles C language, it compiles C++, it compiles assembly code. There's not a compiler in the world that does as much as C++ compiler does. And more a compiler is asked to do, more syntactically complex the language becomes. So that fact has to be appreciated. If you want a multi-paradigm language, then syntax is going to be somewhat complicated. Okay, that's my lecture on C++ compiler. Okay, let's go to Xcode, and we're going to modify member function to the friend function. Here it is. So how do we modify that? First thing we do, we put the word friend, and I suppose I can put it here, friend const, and then friend has to take two arguments, not one. So I'm going to just, and it cannot have constant modifier, and then I'll just do left and const complex pass by reference right. So now we got the header right, and now I'm going to copy and paste this into my code. And now friend is not a member, so I'm going to delete that, and change that to what I just copied. Okay, there's some, yeah, just remove that part here. And then this will become left dot real, this will become right dot real, this will become left dot imag, this will become right dot imag, and that's all I have to do really. So notice the difference is that word friend appears in the header file but not in the implementation of the function. Okay, and like your scope resolution for the constructor or the print data function, because they are member functions, but friend function is not a member function. You can see that there's no scope resolution operator here. This guy will not be here because now we are overloading this as a friend function. And notice you have const here, const here. Well, friend functions are not allowed const modifier and modifier. And now this should work. In fact, one thing that didn't work in last video was that when we try to do 1 plus a complex number, that didn't work. We'll show to you that will work as well. Okay, so this will compile right now, and this was a compiler earlier. Hopefully you have watched the previous video, and this was a compiler in the previous video. So let's run it. Everything will work now. Build succeeded. Just to remind you one more time that first complex number 1 plus 2, this is the complex part, this is the real part. Second complex number 2 plus 3, real part, imaginary part. And when we add them together, then 1 and 2 gets added, become 3. 2 and 3 gets added, becomes 5. And then if I add 1 to this guy, the sum, which I did just right here, and I said this will automatically get converted into complex type because we have a constructor that takes default arguments. So I said earlier that real part is given a value 1, and computer will take imaginary part as 0, which it is indeed when I do 1 plus sum plus 1, and on the fly that 1 is get converted to complex type, and that means I just get 4 plus 5i. This 1 got increased by 1. Now we'll see that earlier, if you watch the earlier video, this didn't work in the earlier video. But right now there's no compile error, and if I print it afterwards, so I can say cout 1 plus sum equals, that actually works now. And I can say sum dot print data cout endl, and we can run it. So notice here, previous sum was 4. I did 1 plus sum, real part became 5 and 5. So this is it. Story of friend function, at least in this case, is pretty short. Those rules I showed you earlier need to be followed. They have word friend as first word in the header file. That's this one. I put them in public, but honestly, you can put them anywhere. I think it'll work. So let's say, let's take it out and put that in private. It still should work. Yeah, there's no compiler. And build succeeded. It still works, see? So it doesn't matter where you put them, in the private area or public area, their access is always public, okay? But it's a good idea to not do that and put them into public area, just because that's our purpose. It's a function that's, okay, something happened. Command Z, yeah. And it should be placed in the public area. After all, it's a function. Function mostly are public, okay? And it doesn't have scope resolution operator because it's not a member, and it's not allowed a constant modifier. That's only allowed for member function. So this is it. This was a short video about friend functions. For more details, you need to read my ebook chapter on operator overloading. And once again, this is Dr. Satish Singhal, PhD, Professor of Computer Science from El Camino College, Torrance, California. Thank you so much.